everybody! Today I'm going to be doing a review on the Gravitas, I think that's how you say it, Brooke Shields palette from MAC. Now this is the 15 shade eyeshadow palette that sold out so fast on the MAC website, it was ridiculous. I know a lot of people weren't too thrilled about the old-fashioned packaging, and by old-fashioned I really just mean the 80s. 70s, that gray kind of like plain packaging we used to see in terms of cosmetics. I grew up in the 90s, the 80s, the 90s, so and like the early 2000s, so makeup packaging used to be super boring, but as a nod, this is right on point in terms of colors and packaging, everything. Now I know a lot of you didn't really like it. Some of you thought it was cool, but most of you, from what I heard, did not like it. However, this palette was a steal no matter how you look at it. It was 15 shadows for $85 in the United States, which would have normally cost you $160. Now, a lot of these shades are shades that are in the permanent range, so a lot of these shades you can get already, but you're getting them at a discount when you buy them in here, and it's limited edition packaging. When does MAC do that? When does MAC give you something for, excuse my pillow, drying. I did the laundry, so you guys know I'm clean. Since when does MAC ever give us anything that's limited edition and mark the price down? So a lot of people jumped on it. Needless to say, we have a lot of great fall shades, and not just fall shades, but shades that I believe Brooke Shields, that really just apply to Brooke Shields. Very mature shades. We have a lot of neutrals, warm colors, warm purple, warm burgundy here, golds, soft pink, then we have smoky colors. I just feel like the target audience was people more in Brooke Shields' age or a little bit younger. It wasn't to appeal to the youthful age, that's why the packaging, the colors, etc. But that being said, a lot of us younger people, we love the neutrals and the smokies too, so it kind of applies to us as well. So I'm going to swatch this up for you guys, and I'm going to tell you what I think of each shade. Some of these shades really performed poorly, like Carbon. I don't know why they put that in every palette, and some shades performed phenomenally perfect, and I was in love with them. So let's get started. Let's run through the shades. The first shade is Pretty, then we have Soft Brown, Expensive Pink, Clove, Satin Taupe. Then right here we have Canter, Luscious, Antiqued, Psych, Carbon. Then down here we have Shroom, Persuade, Plumbed, Lofty, and Pepper. So this way you already know what the names of the shades are, but I'll go through them as I swatch them. So let's start with the top row. The first shade I'm going to show you guys is Pretty, and this is a great highlight shade. Very, very smooth, a little bit sheer, but it's definitely great for lightening up some shades, using on the brow bone, center of the lid, under the eyelid, in the corner of the lid. This is one of those shades that you're going to highlight and bring attention to. This is not supposed to be fully pigmented. The next shade I'm going to show you guys is Soft Brown. Now Soft Brown is a matte, and this one really applied smoothly. This is a perfect nude, very soft. It should flatter most skin tones as either a crease shade, a base shade, a lid shade. This is very universal to be used. This whole palette is pretty universal no matter what skin shade you are. The next shade is Expensive Pink, and I loved this shade. I love this shade in general, but this shade is just such a pretty, pretty shade. It's like a metallic pink. It usually doesn't apply that bad. When I applied it earlier, it applied perfectly. Very smooth and velvety. I didn't have any problems with it despite what I just showed you guys there. The next shade is Clove, and it's this darker brown shade. Pretty much the shade of a clove, but maybe a little bit lighter than a clove. I'll swatch that up for you. It's a little bit darker of a neutral, but still performed pretty well. As you can see, you can get a nice eye look with just the 4 of these shades. The next one we have is Satin Taupe. And Satin Taupe was really easy to work with as well. It had a little bit of a metallic finish to it. Good for smoky eye. So that's the first row. So let's go to the second row. Starting with Canter. This is another good highlight shade, but also a good all over the lid shade. I used this in the center of my lid today. It's a very pretty shade. And I'm not wearing any primer, by the way. The next shade is Luscious. It's right here, Luscious. It's also a little bit of a metallic shade. Very pretty. Next up we have Antiqued right here. This is kind of like a garnet, a burgundy shade. Also applied quite well, and I love that reflection. Next up we have Psyche, or Psyche. I forget how to say it. And this kind of leans a little bit green. Very, very nice for fall. And then the dreaded Carbon. Just always giving me problems. Does anybody ever have any luck with Carbon? I just never do. I think if you use it wet and you use it as a liner, like if you wet your brush a little bit and you use it as a liner, you shouldn't have too much problems. And I guess if you're layering it onto other shades to darken them, you shouldn't have a problem, but on its own, it'd be pretty streaky. But you can really get the fall feel, especially with those 4 colors, right? I'm not the only one, right? Anyway, let's go to the row 3. So Carbon stained my hand. I'm sorry, guys. So let's start with the bottom row. So the first shade we have is Shroom. This concludes our lighter shades. This one is less of a highlight and more of an actual just white shade that you can use on its own as a base to make other shades pop. Very smooth, very velvety. Then we have Persuade right here. And this is a nice matte shade. I really liked this gray matte shade. Almost like a concrete gray. It did give me a little bit of problems in application though. Then we have Plumbed, which is a nice pretty purple. It's a deepened purple. I'm wearing it today in my crease. I really didn't have that much problem applying it. I don't know why I'm having a problem on my hand. But this blended out effortlessly, very easy to apply. So the next shade is Lofty, which is right here, and this is another brown. Pretty smooth, a little bit streaky, but pretty smooth overall. Then the last shade we have is Pepper, and this is another gray shade. This is more of a brown gray, this is more of a blue gray. So I'm going to apply it up here because Carbon stained my hand. And as you can see, it's slightly streaky. With some of the matte shades, I had a problem with them. They were a little streaky. With the Frost, the Satin, the Volux Pearls, I didn't have any problems with them. No problems whatsoever. But when it came to the mattes, some of them were a bit streaky, harder to work with. I'm not sure why MAC has a hard time with the mattes, the bigger palettes or the limited edition palettes. But either way, this was a great deal overall. These shades were really easy to work with, blended well together. For the most part, they all felt soft, smooth. Today I did my look using, I applied this shade all over the lid. I applied this shade all over the lid, this into the center of the lid. I applied this shade to the crease as a transitional shade, and then I applied this also all over my crease, into my outer V, and down into the corner of my eye. And then I used Bordeaux line for my waterline. So if you're wondering how I created my look, that is how I created my look. And if you're wondering what's on my lips, I'm wearing leather, lippy stick, I hate that word, and a lippy liner from ColourPop Cosmetics. Okay guys, I'm going to have picture swatches at the end of this video along with my eye look so you can see exactly up close what it looks like when you apply them. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my fashion blog, and please follow me on Instagram. I'm Recycled Stardust.